place to promote the growth of Tigres in English through analysis, discussions, interviews, and more. Welcome to the La U Times Podcast.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the La U Times Podcast. Excellent Tigres week that we just had, and we got a lot to talk about, so I'm bringing everybody on board so we can discuss it. We'll start in the H with Alfred. How are you, my friend?
Good, man. I'm glad to be back, ready to talk about Tigres.
Absolutely. After your vacay, good to have you back, my friend. So, moving on to Edgar, Double O Nation. What's up, my friend?
Ready to talk about Tigres today with you all.
100. And lastly, Dennis. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Hello, it's good to be back. Not at a Mavs game this week, obviously, so get to be with the boys. And round two, because we had some technical difficulties the first time, of our unofficial sponsor, Vanilla Bean Cheesecake from Trader Joe's. If you live by Trader Joe's, you should get one right now.
I'll say it once and I'll say it again. That's not healthy, man.
It doesn't matter. It's good.
My man Dennis always providing the light snacks of the podcast.
We try.
Absolutely. We thank you for it. We thank you for it for sure. Guys, obviously we don't have Mr. Lou tonight. Our guy is on Liguilla vacation. He decided to skip out since the teams in the Liga are going to take 3 weeks off. My man decided to also take off on vacation until our squad returns to play or to action.
Honestly, fair. I would too, in most cases.
Yeah, good timing, Lou. Hopefully, if you're out there listening, just want to say great timing. I envy you in the sense of I'm happy for you that you're on vacation. You don't have to wait these miserable weeks for Tigres to play. But Edgar, they're coming up to see you. The guys are going to be in your town.
The best city for last. Dallas gets a friendly this Saturday. Let us know if you'll be there. Dennis and I will be there. A couple other people. David Molina will be there with us. Shout out David.
Wonderful. Yeah, it was
apparently we'll see.
It was time, guys. Like, they gave you guys the short end of the stick with these games that they've been on tour in Texas recently.
With the venue this time as well, but we'll get to that.
Absolutely. We'll start off with your lovely outline that you created for our episode tonight. So why don't you just kick us off for the first segment?
Yeah, absolutely. 7 out of 9. Los Incomparables had a very heavy week, having hosted Club Toluca at the Volcán and then having traveled to Mexico City to face off against the league leaders. In two very promising performances, Tigres was able to secure a victory at home and a draw on the road. Tigres versus Toluca ended in a 2-1 win, and Cruz Azul versus Tigres ended in a 1-1 draw. The toughest battles prove that Tigres is, as always, a title contender. Tigres finished in third place of the league table with 34 points and finished the season securing 7 out of 9 points in the final 3 matches. A solid ending to Pauno's first season. Let's discuss.
Dang. Everything was so perfect there until Paunovic's name was mentioned there at the end. My guy Glenn Davis at ESPN is going to be a little upset if I talk down on Paunovic. He had him on his show this season, and he's a fan of Paunovic. And I was a fan of him as well up until Clásico Regio. And, most people would say I'm salty that we lost to Rayados, but ultimately it was beyond that. It was what I saw on the pitch and the consistency of just bad decision-making on the pitch. And honestly, bad decisions continued, as even if we had an excellent week this past week in both matches that Tigres had. So we'll start with Tigres versus Toluca. Obviously, it was a big match. A couple weeks ago, we were discussing how many points the team was going to have, and we were sort of pessimistic, guys. We weren't really, looking forward to these matches because we knew Toluca was going to be a hard game, and obviously Cruz Azul closing out the season. We thought that maybe they were going to rotate some players, but they were, potentially going to get the record, which, and I guess they did, or tied it at least, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever the case might be on that end, but we'll get to it eventually. But Even with the Tijuana game, we weren't very optimistic about it. So 7 out of 9 points. Great way to end the season. Almost 4 consecutive matches with victories into that game against Cruz Azul. But like I said, we'll eventually get into it. Toluca at home, 2-1 victory. Probably, I thought the team with the best offensive weapons this season. I know Cruz Azul had more goals scored, but Toluca just looked a lot more dangerous. They had Paulinho, the best player of the season, coming into El Volcán looking like Omar Bravo. They had, Alexis Vega, had a resurgence of a season, looking like Jose Manuel Abundis, for Toluca back in the day. And then at Volcán, nothing happened. He came off the bench, wasn't really activated very much. And there was other players like Canelo Angulo who also didn't play. So there was also that, I guess, star next to that victory, according to some people and some media members, that Tigres didn't play the strongest squad, but ultimately that's their squad, right? Like if they subbed out 3 players, that's coach's choice. But I think that we had a good game. So I'm going to start off with that. We'll kick it off to you, Alfred, with your initial thoughts on Toluca versus Tigres.
I mean, I think overall, not just in that game with Cruz Azul as well, the biggest impact in both games was the defense. Like you mentioned, I mean, we were expecting, Paulinho to come in and, just wreak havoc on us. And he couldn't do anything. You said it, he looked like Omar Bravo. So, I mean, we've already mentioned it before. Big props to Joaquin, who has been a revelation defender, not just for Tigres, but for the league. But also, with the changes that had to be made, with Pizarro having to be moved up to Carioca position and Reyes coming in, they did a hell of a job. And obviously up front, I mean, we needed them to have accuracy. And I think that initial goal by Gignac was important because it pretty much dictated the game. It allowed us to play freely, or at least, let Toluca, take care of the ball if they wish to, but, really hold them back and hold defensively and kind of show a little bit of potential with the counterattack. So I like the game. I thought that game was a good performance overall. We could argue, maybe the choices of subs and maybe of Linus, and we have our disagreements as to who could have played or who should have played, but overall, I mean, the team played well.
Yeah, Edgar, would you say that was the best match of the season overall?
Absolutely, and I think that was also minus one position our best starting 11 that we have.
Who's your minus?
Linus. I would not have started with Linus. I think Ociel and Marcelo are more competitive in that position. And then, if Carioca was available, obviously he would have been included. But that was our strongest lineup that we could have offered.
And it looks like it's the strongest lineup as we head into Liguilla. And like I've said it before, it just seems like Linus is the preferred choice of the wingers, which it became a little doubtful for me because it was Ociel Herrera as well at some point. Like he was the one that was starting the majority of the games. A little bit of some statistics in this game, guys. Toluca had more of the possession in this game. And so you mentioned it, Alfred, after that first goal, we were playing a little bit more direct. And so, that little flair of, the style that we were looking like in the first 4 or 5 games under Paunovic was more present. The Brunetta that we've been, asking for, and also that he displayed at the beginning matches, playing more direct, guiding the ball, in transition and offensive transitions, more specifically on counters, looking dangerous, spreading the ball out to Cordova with, what he can do, tucking in from the outside, starting as a right winger, right? Like, a non-traditional right winger with a lot of free movement. I thought that allowed us to be more dangerous, especially in that first half when we let them have control of the ball with the possession, but playing a little bit more direct. Ultimately, we had more shots on, and probably, just overall good performance. Dennis, what did you think of that match specifically, and the inclusion of now Pizarro back to the center defensive mid spot, because of Carioca being out due to an injury?
Well, before I get anywhere else, we do have our first comment of the night,
Nice.
and it's from our lad across the pond, Woodsy. Hello, lad. Hope you are doing well.
Absolutely.
Man, the game was interesting. We had to survive the last feel like the last half of the second half, the last like 20, 25 minutes. It was kind of a barn burner on Toluca's end, trying to, force the issue and trying to come back and at least steal a point. Nahuel had to make some pretty significant saves. The defense had to step up. I say that because that was the only half that I watched. I was not able to watch the first half because I was at work. But from what I've seen, from highlights, from commentary in our chat, I think I tend to agree that was our best performance. To put up that performance against a strong team this close to Liguilla is very nice to see. It gives us as a fan base, I think, a lot of confidence and a lot of just reassurance that oh, we'll be fine. This team's already starting to click it into gear for Liguilla. And I think that we should be able to have a good run going into it when we go back in a few weeks. So was really impressed with Gorri again. I mean, he's been unbelievable all season, and we've talked about that. Obviously, Nahuel was really good, and obviously Bruneta and Cordova together, we've talked about it all season. The BCG needs to be playing, and all three of them shining together, especially at home, was really cool to see. So
I would say probably it was maybe over 50 times at least throughout the numerous episodes that we recorded that we talked about them being included in the lineup. And, we finally got our wish at the end. I remember Edgar mentioning that, maybe a little tad too late, because Diego Reyes played well, which means he'll play the rest of Liguilla. RIP. Jesus. As I was saying, maybe a tad bit too late, right? Maybe that would have given us the push to really, find that groove. Maybe not points wise per se, but at least, form wise to really establish a starting 11, which he rotated, meaning Paunovic, so much throughout the season. The substitutions for me were an issue, guys. And I know you have this in the outline, and I'm just looking at the substitutions just to recall my memory there. I mentioned it as soon as Cordova got that play off of André Pierre Gignac back heel. He takes a shot. Bruneta, pushes the goal into off of the goalie rebound or deflection. And Sebastian Cordova was going to be the sub out at that moment right before that goal. And he changed his mind. And, which will lead us into the next segment, which I really find very interesting. I'm glad you put that into the timeline or the guideline, Edgar, it's really interesting that Cordova, who is considered amongst many of the fan base a fan favorite, a high quality player, at times even called the most talented on the field, during spurts of the game, for him to be the first selection out. And so he changed his mind, and ultimately the goal, came through. But then when he makes that sub in the 67th minute and subs out Sebastian Cordova, the team completely lost offensive production. And then 6 minutes later, or about 7 minutes later, he brings in three subs at once. He takes out André Pierre Gignac for Nicolás Ibáñez. He takes out Juan Bruneta for Marcelo Flores, and Diego Sanchez for Diego Lainez. After that, obviously the trickle effect was Sebastian Cordova. But when those three guys came in, it's almost like counterproductive to bring those three guys at the same time, because you don't allow these guys to find their form. And we've talked about it, that when you're subbing these types of players, specifically, these wingers that we're talking about, who I haven't, gotten tired of saying that they're not fully developed as talented players. They're still, finding their groove and finding their role within their squad. To bring them all in at once is just really a bad idea, because you're not plugging them into the situations where they can thrive, and you're just letting them be on autopilot just because they can play the position. So you're essentially doing position for position with the substitution, and you're allowing Toluca to find groove because of the imbalance that the team has now created, because these guys are just fresh on the pitch and trying to find connection and finding the ball and connecting passes. So after that, Tigres started slowly going down, which allowed Toluca to finally score that first goal, and at the end make a push to possibly tie that game, and having to defend when we had all but the ability to score more goals, because we did create chances in the second half. But I think that, again, from a managing perspective, our coach is still falling short of how to plug in these players into the right situations. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I agree.
Same. It was way more apparent in the Cruz Azul game, though, and I know we'll get to that game in a second. But oof, that game.
But it's more apparent because we tied that game, and this game we won, because you could have really pushed the agenda on goals on Toluca and really made a statement. Not that the statement wasn't made. I think that the statement, that was made is that the team is here to compete, and it's not going to be an easy team to defeat as we get into a 2-game series into Liguilla. But ultimately, I think that, you lose opportunity to really be in good game situations where you have to manage from the coaching perspective and really find a way to beat these teams. So what that tells me is that we're going to head into this Liguilla, and ultimately it's going to be up to the players.
You have been asked the question.
Arnaldo, thoughts on Diego Sanchez? I think that, if I'm being very nice, I think he needs to be polishing some soccer cleats of some of the players. I don't think he's a very good player. I think that the rule is very stupid that we have to include him. I think he's got a long ways to develop physically. He's still, decision making. In that Cruz Azul game, it was more apparent that he did not belong on the field, and but it's none. I don't mean it in a mean way, but I think he needs to get stronger. He needs to learn how to tactically be more aware on the field, to have even more playing time. He has some flair. He has that spark, that he can create some chances. But I think for the long run, you're not really missing much on whether Lainez plays or even Osiel Herrera plays. But I think, again, the clear answer is Marcelo Flores always being the most raw talent winger that we have on the field.
I know it's a different position, but if you recall Jonathan Espericueta, he was a much more talented canterano than Chicha Sanchez is.
Yep.
By a million miles.
Or even again, different positions like Dueñas. I feel like because he did well at the youth level, he, had that narrative push that he could contribute. And I'm not saying he can't, in the long run, but I think that at Tigres it's just going to be hard, especially with the commitment that you made with the wingers that you signed of Lainez, Marcelo, and Osiel.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to what you were mentioning right now as to, the awkwardness of subbing in those 3, offensive players all at once. Like you said, you're putting each one of them in a bad situation where, they're trying to find themselves in the field all at the same time, and they can't, cohesively, build up play. But Chicha Sanchez was given the opportunity in 2 games to start and to play with, Bruneta, with Cordova, or, with Gignac, and to be that one player that was just, kind of needed the help and kind of needed, to be guided through in the game. And he still didn't show much. So, yeah, in the end, the kid may have something. There's a reason why. I guess he was scouted, and he's the youth player that he was brought up to be given a shot. But, ultimately, he is not for Tigres. We are not a team that
Develops.
those youth players. I mean, and in the end, we want championships, so we don't care to bring up players. We care to have the best players, and that's it.
I'll say this, Woodsy, since you're listening all the way from the UK. You're a big fan of Raimundo Fulgencio. I think Raimundo Fulgencio runs laps on Diego Chicha Sanchez, and that takes a lot for me to say. So, to answer to his comment or question,
he just plays so like conservative to me. Like he's conservative. Like his mind is just like not up to speed at the level that he needs to be in order to play First Division Mexican League football.
He's supposed to play catch up.
Exactly. That's my biggest thing with him, and I think that will come with time. But will it come with us? Is another side of the equation, like you were just saying, Alfred. So he's young. It'll come, but who knows if it's with us?
He literally made me make a comment on Saturday night that because he was subbed out, he made Linus look good after that substitution. And I was like, I can't believe I'm saying that. But because Linus has more tactical awareness, he knows how to move within the field to not be, a cone. And I felt like a majority of the times in the games that Diego Sanchez or Chicha has played, he has been, I know he had an assist, I know he contributed, but like eventually, a squirrel is always going to find a nut. And so
he's just chasing around the ball, chasing the play, trying to find his plays, but not really being somebody that was open to creating opportunities.
Yeah, you're not looking to build play through him at all. And one of the things that for me that stood out to finish that comment on these substitutions that Paunovic made during this Toluca game, he made Osiel Herrera look so bad. Osiel Herrera came, like I mentioned, about 7 minutes before those 3 substitutions all at once. He made Osiel Herrera look so bad that Osiel Herrera took almost 10 minutes to touch his first ball on the field when the other guys had more touches at that point. And that's a problem for me because this is a guy that has produced offensively, whether it's through goals or assists, and has probably the highest production on both categories within the last season and a half. Or since he's arrived, right, with the limited minutes that he's gotten. And I think that if he's not your player that you have full confidence to start and give him the minutes to be that starting winger, you got to plug him into a situation where he can thrive, whether that's finding the space for him in direct ball, when you're playing the counter, which this game allowed it, and bringing him in for Sebastián Córdoba, and then bringing those 3 subs. Like again, you don't let him get in the flow of the game. So really upset with that again, because I think part of the problem that I've been highlighting all season is that they're not fully developed, and they're never going to fully develop if you're just throwing them all into the mix and making them figure it out, as opposed to having a specific purpose as to why they're coming onto the field with specific tactics that you want to exploit from the other team or take advantage of. So disappointed in you, Pauno.
Fulgencio Dino. What a funny name.
Dude, who would have thought Fulgencio and Luis Quiñones playing central attacking mids at other squads after they left?
Oh, here we go. Follow-up comment from Woodsy.
Thought I was the only one who never understood the hype, to be honest. I agree with Ronaldo. Thank you, Woodsy. I appreciate your British expertise and Brazilian expertise.
That's right. That's right.
So,
and I mean, in the end, we had to endure watching Chicha Sanchez play so many minutes against, these teams in these last few games because of Pauno's bad decision to not plug him in 5 minutes a game since Jornada 5. I don't know. It's
or find another player, dude. Like, is it that difficult to find like a right back or a left back that is at the youth academy that you can plug in for 30, 45 minutes or a half, especially with the defense being so great this season? Like, you could have found other ways to plug in players. Sebastián Fierro also contributed a little bit more percentage of the minutes, didn't get any playing time. And that's concerning because like he was selected by Siboldi, and Siboldi earned the championship. So I know if Siboldi saw something in him, and like, Carioca, who has spoken highly of him, like it would have made more sense for you to manage those minutes in a different way. And even going back to the goalkeeping position, I can't remember who made that comment
Tapia.
about Tapia. I can't truly recall, so I can give him credit for when he said that weeks ago in our group thread about Tapia should have gotten more playing time if you knew you were going to need the minutes and you gave Felipe Rodriguez 3 games, especially with Nahuel. So the minute situation could have been, a lot less significant. And, like you and I went back and forth, Alfred, a few episodes ago about the minutes and how I was saying, like, it's not important because we got to actually figure out how to play first versus, just plugging them in. And, like, eventually he plugged them in, but it didn't really, like, help either situation because it didn't help the player to fully, get integrated into the team to learn how to play with our squad. And then we didn't really find good rhythm until he made the decision to include Cordova and Bruneta in the starting lineup. So, and I think he might have been pushed to that decision either by leadership. We saw Paunovic have a conversation with Pizarro after the loss to Mazatlan and the loss to Rayados in that same week. So I think that, I don't think it was a true like, oh, I'm going to decide to play these guys because I believe in these guys. It was more of a forced situation because nothing had worked at that point.
No, and then not just that, but you also have the contribution of minutes from Ociel and from Marcelo, and Marcelo. It seems like he had less minutes this season than he had last season. So he was a breakthrough player last season. So why didn't he get more opportunity? Bruneta for half the season, for 2 months, almost 2 months, he was in a slump. He wasn't getting minutes. There's a perfect opportunity for him to use Ociel and use Marcelo. If not 90 minutes, at least 60, 70 minutes a game, and that would have taken care of a whole bunch of the minutes as well. So it's just bad decisions throughout the entire season that built up to this last minute, trying to get the minutes accomplished with Chicha Sanchez in there for so long.
Yeah. So the topic stays the same. Paunovic is bad manager. Could be an excellent person, could be an excellent coach for another squad, but it just seems that the disconnect with the squad is still there, and specifically with the players and how to choose the players in order to encounter these games to be in better situations on the field. So any last thoughts on that Toluca game before we tap into that Cruz Azul game?
The best striker on the field was not the guy who won the Gold Boot. It was an almost 39-year-old Frenchman.
Yep.
That's all that needs to be said.
And you just made me highlight something. That connection on that goal between Bruneta, Cordova, and Andre Pierre, dude, how many more goals could we have seen if he played them? God, like that switch of field by Bruneta, Cordova doing his little like hip thrust that he has to like get players off of him, and then being able to cross the ball with either leg. And then obviously Andre Pierre, his signature move, the little shove that's fair to use in the game to score a goal. Beautiful play. So
the second goal was also BCG. It was Guignac to Cordova and then Bruneta.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, bad decision making.
This is a great point because I actually wanted to bring this up now. On the day, was it the day of the Toluca game that this news dropped, or was it the day before the Carioca signing?
No, he was signed since like 2 weeks before, since Mazatlan.
It broke last week because y'all didn't talk about it last week on the pod. At least I don't think you did. So I'm happy it got over the line. It should have been done ages ago, but thank goodness.
I don't know, guys. I love Carioca. I truly love Carioca. I still think he's a guy that needs to start. I mean,
what's the question?
Just thoughts on Carioca resigning.
Like whether we agree or we disagree.
Yeah, I don't think we actually talked about it. And I now that you mention that, we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, that's the question. What do we think about it? I think to further explain my point, it'll be good. It'll be even better if we find a way to bring in somebody younger in a spot to kind of show him the ropes. Front office, listen to us. Sometimes we have good ideas, especially since we've wasted that last foreign spot on Samir, who did absolutely nothing this whole season. So let's find a way to actually offload him this time, if possible. I know he has high wages, and bring in somebody, preferably foreign, to bring in Carioca's spot, and that way there's this seamless transition of sorts.
So his contract was going to expire literally in
December.
Right. But the season concludes in November, and then after that, if they didn't make Liguilla, it's done. Right. So so he's back for another 6 months.
Is it 6 months or a year? I keep seeing conflicting things.
It's 6 months with an option for a second 6 months. And you know why? I'm glad he brought it up, because now all of the guys contracts end in June. Carioca, Pizarro, Gignac, and Nahuel.
Yeah.
Aquino already got resigned. So it could be a big shakeup, but I want to get into that more when we get, done with Liguilla. Once we win the cup, I want to talk about, player signings and whatnot. But just to cap it off, your question, Woods, I think that it's good for him to resign for 6 months. I think the 6 months is definitely deserved. I think the transfer window, realistically, they probably didn't have a center defensive mid that they were going to bring in this window of December. So they're going to have him ready to go in June. And so you allow him to still be working to the lineup, have either the option to bring either a Mexican player to come compete with him from the league, and then maybe spend the other foreign spot of Samir that Dennis is mentioning, either on a center back who has been rumored from La U Católica, because Pizarro eventually is going to retire as well, or maybe a foreign winger. So we'll see. Obviously, we'll definitely talk about that more as the season finishes and we finish off with Liguilla and we get into the cup. And Samir's not staying, dude. I know he has Brazilian blood, and you love Brazilians, but Samir didn't work out at Tigres. It's okay. He he gave us some good moments there, and we thought he was going to be the best center back in the league. Didn't work out, but we're moving on from him. We got another.
Hey, Woodsy, you should just campaign for Samir up in England, man. Take him up to Hull City.
Yeah,
take him off our hands. He's so good.
From one Tiger to another, take him to the Hull City Tigers.
He knows what it's like to play in England. He was at Watford. It's not unfamiliar territory for him. Okay, Edgar's got a couple questions. I think we just answered this, but yes, I didn't know it was 6 months plus another 6 months. So that's what it is. And do we have an update on APG's injury? I did not see anything, but Edgar, you're the source of all news in English. So do you have anything?
My understanding was it's not serious. He should be ready to go 100% for Liguilla. TBD if he's going to make the trip for this Saturday.
I doubt it.
No.
I'm going to make you mad, but
I'd rather he not. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll hang out with Lose Double, Nico.
I mean,
I'm going to make you mad, Edgar, but I think how many times has Gignac done something prior to a Molero game in the States so that he doesn't have to go? He's done it before. So
I mean, he was unvaccinated for like 2 years. So.
Yeah, and purposefully, but I'm not saying he isn't injured or he didn't feel anything, but it was a part of a decision. Like, hey, if there's any slight chance that I might get injured, you know what? Let me just sit back. Let me get subbed out and save myself the trip to Dallas.
And I think he understood the pace of the game and what that pace was going to be like. It did not favor him to play. Much rather have Nico chasing, the ball around.
This is you're lost and losers. Hashtag Samir 2025 Balloon d'Or.
Hey,
all right. I want to see Woodsy's Twitter posts the next couple of months. Asking
spread the propaganda. Spread that propaganda. Edgar with another comment. APG always comes to Houston. False. He did not go to last fall's Clásico Regio friendly. He was not there. So
he wasn't?
Nope. They didn't bring him or
Oh,
Pizarro.
he didn't. He be en Carioca.
Yeah. they
And
also-
then a couple
No,
years
wait.
back when we played against Toluca here, he didn't come either.
yeah.
Right. He's come a couple of times though. He's come. He's been in the H town. He loves the H. He's been to the Rockets game. Tell me the last time he went to the Mavericks game.
That's true. Maybe he doesn't like Luca, which is fair.
He's been to the Spurs games too.
Oh right, yeah, his fellow compatriot, Tony Parker at the time.
What's he's just cracking me up tonight? Fulgencio crosses into Samir.
Dude,
My
take them.
My guy's stuck on
For
what
an own goal.
is 22.
For those that are not familiar with Woodsy, Woodsy is a fellow Tigres fan from the UK, or specifically in Hull, right? If I have it correct, right? That's
In
the city
England.
name in England. And he's a big Tigres fan, and he's also a Arsenal fan, and numerous amounts of teams in Brazil. I feel like it might not just be one. I could be wrong in that. He might talk shit here in a second. But Woodsy is a very, very, very cool dude that we came across earlier in this journey of establishing the pod. He actually did a bunch of pod episodes with us at the beginning, but conflicting schedules, being on the other side of the world, it didn't work out at all times. He says he wants to come on at times and create his own like little version of the Lau Times podcast with another friend of ours named Sean, who at the time did also some pod episodes here. But yeah, just wanted to share. He's a big Fulgencio fan. He loves Raimundo Fulgencio. He thought he was going to be the best player at Tigres for a long time, and probably still thinks so. But that's why you're seeing these comments of these players that he wants to make sure they shine at Tigres. But anyways,
Hey,
we're
he's
moving on.
technically on loan. He's technically still our player,
We don't want Raimundo Fulgencio.
and he might be back in January because I think that was just a year-long loan at Atlas. So.
No, he's a bargaining chip, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on, fellas. Cruz Azul. What do we think about that match against Cruz Azul? I know what I saw the next day. I even went over to my parents, which my uncle lives there, and he can be very pessimistic when it comes to watching Tigres games. Sometimes I don't like watching games around him because he's just constantly talking bad, and I'm like, I get it, dude. I'm seeing the same thing. I just don't want to hear it out loud. And so, oh, thank you for the accuracy there, or the validation. I appreciate you, Woodsy. What I saw most from people the next day and even after the game was like just a lot of negative, criticizing of the team tying. Like you had a team that had 40 out of 45 points, no, 42 out of 48 points. Is that right? Leading up to that game. And played exceptional soccer, has been playing well, even from carrying from last season when Anselmi took over the team. And our squad has gone through a roller coaster of form throughout Paunovic's time. No identity, still no identity, and or established system of how to play. More individual reliance of providing good results. And you come out of that game tied and possibly winning. And I know the possession wasn't very much there, the shots on goal weren't very much there, but I don't think people remember that we won championships in that regard. The title against Leon was miserable to watch our squad, and they pulled it off. Nobody complained because we won the cup. I feel like sometimes we just find a way to talk shit for no reason about our squad. It's okay to criticize. It's definitely totally okay to not be happy with form, with the coaching, but just to like fully, go off on the squad that you so fully support and then just go negative. It's crazy to me. And I know that the result wasn't what people probably wanted. And then I saw a lot of comments of like, it's probably a good thing that we tied because it really wouldn't have, shown what really would have happened in the match. Who cares? We would have secured the second spot. Like we wanted the second spot. Why would you talk down on the fact that like we tied against, Cruz Azul and they tied in the last, extra minute of additional time. So, it upsets me, right? Like I'm not a guy that's always going to cheer on the team, even when, when they're bad, I'm going to criticize. But when they're, fighting for what they're doing. And at the end of the day, they finished in third place in a season that wasn't our best at all. Like, we still managed to find results. And that's due to a lot of the players that are still, leading this team with quality, even at their age. So that was just my negative, reaction after that game. But I mean, I think I was happy with the 1-1 result. I couldn't be upset. I don't know what you guys think. We'll start off with you, Dennis.
Yeah, it was. First of all, a couple weird things. The Chicha situation. We can actually talk about that now. I mean,
Yeah.
Christ Almighty, why are you pulling him in the first half and wasting a substitution window when you already had to burn one when Gignac got hurt? Just play him the whole 45 minutes. My Lord. I mean, I would have fired him on the spot for that alone. Like, how stupid do you have to be to make that decision?
10 minutes to go.
Also, it crushes his confidence, right? Like,
8
I know
minutes.
I know
8
we
minutes.
just didn't give, Chicha just like amazing commentary just now, but also you I don't know what that could have done to him mentally. Be like, oh, well, I'm just used as a chip for the role and not an actual player. Like, that sucks, man. Like, that just really sucks. The game plan I thought was really interesting. To kind of just like sit back and kind of play a more defensive shape. That will be necessary at times, but that's not where we thrive. And it wasn't a very particular fun game to watch, especially second half, just kind of playing that 5-back, Lainez tracking back as a wing back sort of thing. Not my favorite game. I mean, I understand you got to do what you got to do to get a result. And it looked like we were heading that way after we got the penalty. But my Lord, that last goal that Cruz Azul got, or the goal that got them the tie, I mean, so much of everything of that was wrong. It wasn't just Reyes being a goofball. Nahuel's positioning on that was really poor. Aquino's positioning on that was really poor. I mean, that's really frustrating because that bumped us down a spot technically. But I guess in hindsight, we could be playing America in the first round, and now we're just playing San Luis. Not to discount San Luis by any means, but I don't know. Maybe it's better for us in the long run that happened. Who knows? But a frustrating end to what was a decent game plan and was executed well, but it was definitely not my most favorite game of the season by any means.
No, absolutely not. But again, like you have to like understand it, right? Like we were playing the best squad of all season, who demolished basically every single team, and we weren't up until the last couple of games against like Toluca. We weren't really looking like we were going to even compete in Liguilla, and so I feel like they took the match to us. Obviously the game plan changed when Andre Pierre Gignac went out. Not that it would have probably been any much different. I think that the pace or where the game was headed, it was not going to favor him. I think that he runs as much as he can, and I'm a big anti-critic of that he doesn't run as much, which I can probably assure that he runs the most out of our players because he constantly tracks so much heat in his heat maps. And I just think in the long run, how Cruz Azul has been playing and in the way that they were playing in that game, it was just not favorable. Edgar, the substitution there that I want to build off of what Dennis provided with that comment. 8 minutes to go, like Alfred says, you make the substitution. I know we didn't talk so well about him. Brings in Lainez, who also hasn't been the best in terms of offensive production. Finished the season with 3 assists, if I'm not mistaken, this season. But you bring in a player for him, and again, Lainez is the favorite choice. Osiel de Herrera doesn't get favor there. What do you think about what was going on in the game at the time, and probably using Osiel Herrera more in a direct role in that substitution if he was making that substitution with Chicha Sanchez?
I mean, with Chicha Sanchez, really, I mean, we all know it. He was there for the minutes, and that was it. He wasn't there as part of a tactical anything, and that's why he made the ignorant decision to pull him out of the 30th minute. He's like, all right, I met the requirement. I'm done with him. And so he favors Lainez over Osiel. I don't think that you get much more of what you were looking for out of it. Osiel would have given you a lot more speed and just to me, he's the more well-rounded player. I don't know why you still side with Linus for it, but I don't think he gave us much to work with, really.
Yeah, what do you think, Alfred? What did you think overall about the game and the decision making and how the game transpired into that second half? With because again, this is a game to discuss again about substitutions.
First, I'll do a follow up of Edgar's comment there of Linus. I think maybe this is the one game that I did favor Linus over Ociel, and that's simply because of just how the whole game was presented. It was Cruz Azul attacking. I mean, if you were going to choose, a sub winger that has more defensive qualities or that at least tracks more defensively, that's Linus. Ociel is not going to do that. So yeah, we obviously favor Ociel for the buildup, for creating opportunities. He's got a magnet, with the goal. He's got a rocket on his foot, but this game wasn't that. I mean, in the end, that's my evaluation of the game. I mean, like you said, Arnoldo, this was an ugly game, but we wanted the result. We needed the result. And we got the result. I mean, the tie is not bad. It's one of those games where, I mean, it looked ugly, but at least we got the tie. Unfortunately, we have to say it. Cruz Azul is the better team. So if we were to go up against them again, that's probably the best strategy. To just el bus, and I don't know how we're gonna call it, the Pauno bus, or what we gotta say, but.
The Busovic.
The Busovic. But in the end, I mean, you have to present yourself that way to Cruz Azul because they're just dominant in all areas of the pitch. So very proud of the defensive work the entire game. I know people, thrashed Reyes for the goal that we received in the last minute, but aside from that, I mean, he had an excellent game.
Who are we pinpointing that? Y'all's opinion. Who are we pinpointing that goal on?
No. It was collective mistakes. Linus and Purata, poor defensively, let the cross. Let the winger cross, and then obviously Nahuel. I think he had an opportunity where he could have cleared it. He could have stepped out taken a few steps and cleared it. Just punched it out. He didn't. He got stuck halfway. Reyes was looking at Nahuel like, are you coming out? Am I going? So he got stuck halfway, and Aquino, surpassed. So it's just collective mistakes. But we can't say, people like you said.
Give me a name, Alfred. Give me a name. Give me a name.
No. I'm not gonna do that because people do that and we see it. You talked about it. How that was the overall reaction. Throughout the season, how many times did we not see tweets of people talking down on Gorriaran? Gorriaran, our best player the whole season. How many times have we seen, people talking down on Gignac? And then the next game, he shuts everyone up. How many times we saw people talking down on Aquino when at times he was like the only one running up and down the field and doing everything for us. And I even saw him. He was in a best 11 that just came out by Record. So
yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. So I mean, in the end, I'm not gonna be that guy. Not in this game specifically, because look who we were up against. So I'm proud of the team. I actually want to say that they surprised me in these last 3 games because the way they were playing. The way we came out of the Juarez games and the Querétaro game and the Puebla game and the León game, it didn't seem like we were going anywhere.
Right.
So I mean, in the end, we got the result, and that's all that matters. Yeah,
I want to touch up. I know you said a collective effort in terms of the blame to share all around. And I think it just goes back to you don't stop to the final whistle. I think you sort of saw, even because the camera was pushed back on that specific play as the goal presented itself, they move slow, they track back slow, and Cruz Azul is gunning to get the ball and play inbounds. And it was a big catch up by all the squad. I'm talking about everybody defending the last minute and a half that they were defending. They weren't fully engaged to play to the final whistle to go hard as possible in order to defend the result. So I think that that's something to highlight, because collectively you saw a display of errors, as you mentioned. Purata and Lainez from the get-go of throwing the ball in. Nahuel, how many times does he do that, like throughout the season, where he risks it, and sometimes it's bad and it's unfortunate that he causes a mistake. And this time it could have been that his initiative to take the risk could have saved the goal. And obviously Diego Reyes and Aquino miscommunication. So I think that to highlight as we head into Liguilla, the team has to understand that you can't argue ref calls, you can't argue time being added, and just play to the final whistle.
I'll give you a name, Aquino. And that may not be the popular pick, but it really bothers me when fullbacks don't cover people behind them. Like, it just really angers me, because like nobody should be coming in behind you. Don't fall asleep. And I've seen that countless times. And it just bothers me. Yes, Reyes probably should be the one getting the most blame, because he's the one in front of it and could have easily cleared it out. But Aquino, man, you cannot let him get behind you that easily.
Okay, you want a name? I got a name for you. Pauno.
I was gonna say
Pauno. He should not have subbed out Angulo. Angulo, tired, injured, playing 30% of his game is better than Purata.
100%.
Amen.
For sure. And even like on his worst games, he's still somehow one of the best defenders in the league.
He was a dog on Saturday too. Dog.
Yeah, he was playing really
After
well.
getting hurt in the game on Wednesday.
So who's to blame? Pauno. That's what you
Yeah. Hold that thought, because I want to build off of that in a second. Edgar, any additional thoughts about this match and the tie result from Cruz Azul?
I mean, we were so close from winning it. It was frustrating that we didn't. But at the same time, I mean, as you guys expressed it, I'm not disappointed in our team for tying. I'm not happy about it, but we played our best. And this is the game that proved to me that we're ready for Liguilla and that we're ready to face off against whoever comes up next. So that was good. And yeah, our substitutions were crap. I don't know why you decided to put in Purata now, of all people.
Yeah, and going back to the tactical aspect of it, Alfred, that you mentioned, Lainez being favored in this case for Osiel Herrera, I'll give you that. I'll entertain that. But I think that in that first half, we were still creating some buildups to where you could have played Osiel Herrera in the long ball. But I understand, your thought behind Lainez, because I think that the game was leading to that. And I even, like, after the first 5-10 minutes of the second half, I knew that it was the best thing to do is to go to a back line of 3 and then play those 2 guys at the wing back position. So I eventually, I gave into that. See you later, Woodsy. It was good having you on the show and providing some insight. We'll talk soon.
Night.
But the one thing, Purata for Angulo, and then we've talked about this so many times. Bigon is a guy that you bring in to when you're up, when you're probably looking for a result, and you bring him in to chase the ball around. And that goes back to my previous point about Fierro and how, because he didn't utilize him, he didn't have no trust in this guy. Fierro is a more defensive player and younger who could have probably provided more chasing around in those last, 15 to 20 minutes that Bigon played. So the substitution there is terrible, because you're asking a guy who mainly provides offensive spark, doesn't really provide much in buildup, right? Like when Bigon plays offensively for us and, he's doing well or having a good match, what he does is, in the last, third of the field, he finds a pass, swings it out wide, heads straight to the box, looking a way to connect. He's not moving into space, tucking in and like connecting, 1v2s, none of that, right? Like that's not Bigon's game. And we know that, right? It's pure effort on the offensive side. maybe when he was younger, he was a more defensive contributor, but not the best game to have him chase around, the Cruz Azul who's beating up you and down your throat to tie the game, or even, before the penalty trying to go up on you. So those two substitutions don't fully understand. And I know Carioca was out, so that probably would have been slightly different because you would have been able to move the games around. But then again, just bad decision-making by Paunovic, once again, leading from the Chicha Sanchez substitution to Purata and Vigon, in my opinion, being included to go defend. So I don't know, guys. I think there's just a very upward trend that our coaching staff has not figured out a way to implement what they want from this team. And it just seems like they're just selecting the lineups and just making the substitution, but the rest is up to the players. The production on the field offensively is straight individual talent.
How do we evaluate this season? I mean, we got third place, 34 points. That's not bad. If we're comparing it to past seasons and whatnot, but realistically, do we think this was a good season? But Paunovic, is he considered to remain as the coach?
It's tough, man, because I'm
throwing this question out there before Liguilla, because Liguilla changes a lot of things, and if we could, get a good run, get a championship, that might change people's perspective. But if we're looking at the perspective right now of the season, of what we saw Tigres play,
does it change my specific perspective? No. Even if we win the title, I don't think he's the right coach for Tigres. None, and we'll get to some of these awards that we're going to hand out, and one of the things that I'll mention is about him specifically. And I just don't think we got better. I don't think that nobody on the field thrived because of him. If players thrive, meaning Nando Gorriarán, was because he got in better shape. The team overall collectively got in better shape. Joaquin ended up being your best player, and you brought him in as a defender and in a late signing. I just don't think that he's the right coach. I think that he's not a good decision maker, a game manager, and tactically he doesn't provide much for me to say, hey, this guy provided something different that Siboldi did in the past, or even previous coaches that I was like, ooh, like that's what I like about this guy. Now, the biggest hype for me, and I kept talking about it, was bringing in more coaches, European experience, focuses on the defense and the offense. We didn't really see much set pieces besides Gignac's free kicks. So I don't think he's a guy that makes the squad better. And you have guys that still have raw talent that needs to be developed and didn't do well. And, at Chivas, maybe he thrived because, the whole aspect of like that aura, what a Chivas team has been over the last probably, 10 years is being a spark, being, Corralones, being all over the pitch and providing high energy, high press. And maybe that favored him because his tactical work was not as exposed when you have talented players like he has at Tigres, where you have to develop the game, especially with a conflict of aging players with your leaders and then developing young talent. So I think, to me, like, nothing would change it, even if he wins the championship. So my evaluation of this, it was like a decent season, meaning the brand did what it does, but more so because of the players.
Yeah, without fact checking the numbers, I think last season under Siboldi we finished third place as well, but with 30 points. So it's been more, in my humble opinion, more of a constant rather than an improvement, which I think if you're going to bring in a new coach, you expect an improvement, regardless if it's their first season or their first year. So I'm not happy with Paunovic. I'm content with where we finished as far as the standings go and as far as the individual performance of a lot of our players, but he's not the long-term coach. And then Arnoldo had kind of shared a video earlier about how collectively as a fan base, we're not content with him, but the fact of the matter is, I don't see a genuine project under this manager. There's nothing that you can say he's working with or he has a plan. I mean, obviously the generational change comes up in every conversation, but I mean, that was going on during Siboldi. That was going on during Piojo Herrera, if we're being honest. So whoever is sitting there is going to have to deal with that, and is going to have to deal with the phasing out of Gignac, Nahuel, Guido, but there's no project.
And one thing to highlight is like, the constant, right? Like it's just been something that we just had for numerous seasons now. Like Tigres, we talked about it a few weeks back. 20 consecutive appearances in Liguillas, the most in Liga MX history, with the seasons being the way that they are now. So it's not that we don't expect to see the team there. Like the team works that way to be there, especially with the leaders. If you would have told me, hey, we might have had 28 points, but we were flying. We were scoring goals. Like we didn't give up as many goals. We just had bad results. Like we mistakes. We, played some good teams on, where they beat us, but you lost against bad teams, which tells me that you did not know how to defeat bad teams because your system wasn't identified or very predictable that a bad team was able to just pull off a result, just playing defense or parking the bus. And so, again, if we would have had less points, but there were some things to highlight of the way that we played, then there would have been a different conversation.
Yeah, it's concerning when the best stretch of the season was against an America team at home that was missing a lot of players. Depleted. Although great goal in that game. A Puebla team in Leagues Cup, a very deteriorated or depleted Miami team, and then that Pachuca game where we were kind of mid, and then that New York game, it just kind of immediately fell off a train. That's not great. Progressively, it's gotten worse. I mean, I guess besides the last 3 games where we have played better, that's not good. I mean, you guys just mentioned it, but to just kind of re-echo those comments, like there is no project, there is no long-term end goal that he brings to the table that should make us feel confident that he's the guy. And it's always been about the players the last few years and their will, and I think that is going to reign true again going into this Liguilla and then going into the spring when, as you kind of alluded to a second ago, I don't know, though, like could be the last dance.
Yeah, it's just not the best of opportunities. I feel like this window has been not handled properly. Obviously, with coaching changes and, outside rumors / distractions /
the front office
comments, like it's just
our communications department just being horrible.
Cristos Muguerza being
literally.
Yeah.
No stickers.
Yes.
About that. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to complain to somebody this weekend if I run into anybody.
So
I don't know though. Where's ours at,
dude? Alfred, are you going to Dallas for the game?
I'm thinking about it. So I've had a lot of work since I did take some days off. But in the end, yeah, I do have some relatives in Dallas, so I'm looking into it. And if
he goes,
you might see me there.
If he goes, I'll give him the stickers for you guys.
Hooray! Hallelujah!
All right.
Anything else on what we were discussing? Because I want to tap into this part of the.
Do you want to touch on this comment from Edgar real quick?
I wish we could go back and see how the season would have gone with Siboldi. I think the managing aspect would have been a ton better. I think we would have seen more Marcelo. We would have seen more Cordova. We would have seen,
more Chicha early on.
Chicha early on.
Would have been out of
Fierro. Even Fierro. I think the Tapia situation would have been, again, all managing decisions would have been completely different. Siboldi just had a more of a connection. And going back to what you shared, Edgar, about the video that I shared, is that the fan base just does not connect with the Paunovic project. And I saw that in Pello Maldonado's podcast with Adrian Marcelo. And I was like, man, the dude's correct. Like, I haven't spoken to anybody that's been like, ooh, Paunovic, yeah, let's go. Like, maybe there was hype.
We were more connected with El Piojo.
Right. Like
Yeah.
offensiva all the way. And, and at the time, El Piojo provided like, oh, we're going to actually use the players that Tuca Ferretti didn't use, and like, made them go like, get like cobwebs and stuff on the bench.
At least he had a plan. His plan was just like, yeah, we're going to go offensive all the way. I don't care how many goals we accept. But at least he knew what he wanted to do.
We're scoring 4, but they're scoring 3 on us.
Yeah, but he knew what he wanted to do, and we all knew what we were expecting.
Yeah, right.
Not with Pauno.
100%. Last topic, or not last topic. Next topic, Edgar.
Alrighty, next topic. Once my outline comes back. So from our pod chat, we have a little conversation about Cordova. As he's finally started to settle in with his role at Tigres, the CEO has proved that he's good, but is he still under a glass ceiling? Under several coaches, Cordova is still not an undisputed starter or an unmovable player in the starting 11. What is missing for him to go from star to superstar at the club?
First of all, I like the little segment name, From the Pod Chat. I hope we have more of those moving forward. I like that. I want a topic from the pod chat when we record, because some of those conversations are wild and also fantastic. And so I like that. Thank you for your precise choice of words there.
Yeah.
I'll open it up to you, Dennis. What do we think about that segment topic and what it entails?
I mean, I feel like he's doing pretty much all he can besides statistically just putting up numbers. I mean, his work rate is insane. He has the best vision, I think, on the team as far as like offensively. Like he sees things before they happen. He's able to create for himself and for others in a way that not really anybody else can. I mean, I guess Brunetta can, but Brunetta's also kind of slow and a little bit more, methodical with his stuff. Like Sebastian just kind of goes for it. And that's what I really like about him. I don't know. Like, it's weird that he hasn't gotten the consistency with all these coaches. Maybe it's something that's happening on the training ground or in the locker room that we just don't know. But I don't know what he could be doing that's preventing him from gaining that full trust besides, maybe, not putting up, 5 goals, 5 assists per semester. Maybe that's the only holdup.
But he has like hockey assist.
Right, that too.
If he doesn't get like the assist, he gets the hockey assist or the build-up as it leads into an assist.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. Maybe it's a fitness thing.
He does.
Too.
He does have he has the best touch on the field,
absolutely.
and he has it with 2 legs.
Absolutely, I agree.
Alfred, what do you think?
It kind of goes back to the Carioca thing. Like, I don't know what people argue. I mean, in the end, we could go back and think of other players as well that were also great. And, for some reason, coaches just didn't give him enough opportunity. I'm gonna give you a really good example. Okay. Edu Vargas. Edu Vargas was also not consistent. At least, whenever he was a starter, he was usually the first subbed out. And at times, he was, he went 2-3 games where he was a sub. So does that mean that Edu Vargas was not a good player because the coach made the decision to not play him consistently? No, Edu Vargas was a superstar. He was before Tigres, he was during Tigres what he showed, and he was after. So in the end, to me, this all falls on the coaching. It doesn't fall on Cordova, or at least not from what I see, not from my standpoint, not from my perspective. I think he's the most talented player that we currently have. I mean, aside from Gignac, but Gignac at his age now, he has flaws and he's slower, than he was at his prime, but I think Cordova is in his prime, and he was just compared this week with Lucas Lobos.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
There was a video that just went viral from the team. I think somebody else did a TikTok first about it, and then the team came out with the video.
Yeah, dude, I noticed that. Wow, yeah, good call out.
So, like, in the end, I mean, he's that talented that he's he has similar plays, similar abilities as Lucas Lobos.
Yeah.
And so how can we argue that he's not proven himself or he's not a superstar? I don't argue that. I mean, I think he is. If he's not given the opportunity, that's on the coach. That's not on him.
Yeah, because it's a trend, right? Like we see the substitutions. Like he's either the first one coming out. Like I can't remember the last time Sebastián Córdoba played 90 minutes.
I think the last time he played 90 minutes was that game where he had that cross to Gignac where he stole the ball up on the left side, and then he had the cross, and then Gignac did the volley.
Did he, or did he come off the bench?
I'm not sure, but
I think he came off the bench because that was like that was when Siboldi recently had just was it?
No, that was Coca. That was Coca era still. That game against Pumas.
No, that game against Pumas.
Coca. That was a whole thing.
He didn't play with Coca. Chima brought him up, and then Siboldi continued to use him.
Yeah, if anything, that game was under Chima, where he gave
either Chima or Siboldi. It wasn't Coca.
I'm pretty sure it was under Coca, but I'll research. Honestly, Edgar brings up a good point. It may have been the final versus Chivas.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it was the last time he played 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think in that match that we were talking about, that goal, I'm pretty sure he came off the bench. I think he has all the qualities to be a superstar, and that's why I brought it up to you guys this past week. I just don't know, like, what like the coaching staff doesn't see, and like I'm more leaning towards what Dennis said, that it's a fitness issue. Like this dude might just have lagging injuries that he can't play physically that long, and maybe it's just not talked about enough. Even throughout the documentary, Alfred, like they talk about the pubalgia, which I can't remember what it translates to in English. It's like a groin, injury, right? If I'm not mistaken. And so where it feels like crystal, like when you kick the ball, like it's just like it hurts to kick the ball. And maybe it's that, maybe it's not. But I think that your example is actually another guy that, I was going to mention that I thought you were going to say was Lucas Elarayan, another guy that just had so much talent, was just mishandled improperly by Tuca Ferretti. But ultimately, Sebastián Córdoba has the talent to be a top 5 player in our league, skill-wise, and, just incredible ability. But he just has not been able to say, hey, this is my spot on the field, and I'm untouchable on the field. And it's just unfortunate for us, I think.
I think Edgar brought up another example to kind of go along with your Vargas comment earlier, Alfred. Zelarayan, not the same level, but I see the vision there. And then this comment about the groin pain.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Andre Pierre also suffered that injury at some point.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you have anything else to add, Edgar, in regards to that.
No, I mean, I think I agree with you. I think he is at that superstar level. There's just one minor thing, probably the fitness issue, that's holding him back. I think obviously he complements himself the most with the BCG, but even without it, when he's in the starting 11 in place of Brunetta, he doesn't play bad. I think he delivers, and I really also struggle to understand why he's not getting 90 minutes.
And that's why, like, going back to your question, Alfred, about the coaching change or whatnot, like, somebody's got to make this guy like the superstar that he is. Somebody's got to make Brunetta be the best player in the league, because he has been the best player in the league.
You were right, by the way. The Pumas game was actually the first game of the Chima era.
Yeah, he brought him off the bench because he wasn't getting very much playing time, and so he hustled into that play and he made that play happen. And he was getting like a ton of compliments after because he's like, "Oh, this is what he can do if he gets playing time." Somebody that can make Nando Gorriaran, stand out tactically, offensively, defensively, not just Nando's effort and over caring for the team to hustle and contribute effort. There's players that need to be fully placed in the best positions and coach and given the confidence to be the best players for our squad, because we talk about this generational change, and those guys specifically to me are the guys that need to lead that generational change now, along with Joaquin Wakanda Forever, like leading out of the back. So I think that ultimately there's got to be somebody that comes in and make these guys play. So I don't know if anybody has any other comments about Sebastian Cordova and the lack of consistent minutes or starter minutes that he has gotten over the time at Tigres, because he led, that championship run, and I think that he can contribute. And we talked about it. I think that connection with Brunetta and Andre Pierre is going to be crucial for any aspirations to the Cup this Liguilla.
Play him every minute of every game in Liguilla, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think that answers everyone's question. If in everyone's head, Cordova needs to be played in Liguilla, then that just shows how important and how a superstar he is for a team.
Yeah. All righty, moving on. Double O Nation, what you got?
Alrighty, up next, friendly in the greatest city of all America. Wow, who wrote that? I agree with that.
Not I.
Nashville? No.
Miami.
Tigres hopes to stay busy during the FIFA window and play in pause, and has decided to save the best city for last on this year's Tigres tour, and will be traveling to Dallas to play a friendly against Cruz Azul. Will this be a serving of mole, or truly an intensive match to keep our stars active and ready for Liguilla?
That's serving some mole. That's great, Edgar. You have excellent writing skills. We know Andre Pierre's most likely out.
Yeah.
Carioca is out.
Yeah.
So let's give Tapia the minutes. Let's give Chuy Garza the minutes at the right back.
I wouldn't bring Angulo. With.
Well, they're going regardless, right? But you mean like playing time?
They better, because of this meet and greet that I just entered. I want to hopefully meet most of these guys on Friday or Saturday, whenever
That'd
it is.
be nice.
Well, hold on.
Nice.
When is the meet and greet?
I have no idea. They just sent out the entries for it today.
Most likely the day before, which should be Friday.
Yeah.
Lainez, Angulo, and Osjellingham are with L3. So...
I forgot. Yeah.
No
International break.
manches.
Stupid.
Oh,
Okay.
guys, so you get to see Antuna.
Hooray! Tough.
So you got those three guys out.
Only our
Lainez-
second highest paid player in the squad, by the way.
Lainez, Angulo, and Ozzy, Carioca, and Andre Pierre Gignac definitely ruled out. So 5 guys already not coming for this match or playing in this match.
Suddenly, I feel my ticket should have been even cheaper than $50.
I mean, there are people that have paid 160. So
Wild.
Yeah.
I don't know what the promoters were thinking. Good Lord.
Dude, but that's what the brand carries though in Texas. Like the Dynamo, I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Dynamo. The Alamo Dome ticket was like $65 for the Clásico Regio.
Yeah, that was wild.
So 5 players out. Again, I'd like to see Tapia get the minutes at the goalkeeper. Chuy Garza, give Aquino the rest at the starting position. Osvaldo Rodriguez obviously is going to start on the left side because Angulo's out. The 2 center backs.
Maybe he'll get another good cross in, like at the Clásico friendly.
Yeah. The 2 center back spots. That's the intriguing part, because 3 weeks out, you'd imagine you go with your total bench because you want to keep everybody healthy.
It's going to be Samir and Tercero, bro. Pizza
Samir and Purata.
Yeah.
Man.
So
Did Samir get any playing time? Oh, he did, right?
He
In the
did.
Clásico? He did.
Yeah. Weird sub again because it didn't make
Yeah.
sense. You didn't play him anything. You play him in the random, and not you don't even give him starter minutes. You gave him like minutes off the bench. Like I think it was like
And you didn't give him minutes with Joaquin to do the Brazil dupla.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most predictable starting back line. You got Tapia, Osvaldo Rodriguez, Samir, Purata, Chuy Garza. We all agree?
Yes.
Sadly.
Sadly. Bro, what do you mean? You're not excited to see Puratovic?
No, I'm more excited and hopeful that maybe I get to this meet and greet with Dennis and then take my picture with Pisuto in our matching jerseys. That'd be more exciting.
Maybe he'll play. Maybe he'll look
Maybe
like
he'll
he's
play.
off the bench.
Bro, it's kind of cool and also like odd / sad to think about. Like Chuy Garza is the best like thing in that back line to like look forward to watch.
Oh, I can't wait. Actually,
So I think we said we're all in agreement there. Moving on to the midfield, you got most likely because of the 3 weeks span of no games. Good time to rest Nando Gorreran.
yeah.
Carioca's out, so you have a 2 midfield tandem. What are you playing there?
Fierro and Bigod.
But he doesn't like Fierro though.
Pizzuto.
Like,
Yes, Pizzuto.
Pizzuto has a better chance of playing than Fierro.
That's true, unfortunately.
Yikes. Bigod's playing. He's
Okay, yeah, Vigon's the automatic starter.
Vigon's gonna be the superstar on that field.
Vigon did a promo video, so he has to play.
That's
Nice.
right.
I did see that.
That's right. And so did Brunetta. So technically he has to play. I hope he doesn't, but
Dude, I'm telling you, if Fierro gets the playing time that game, I'm gonna be in complete shock, and I'm gonna be upset if he has a good game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Next up, the wingers, right wing. Who gets the nod?
Antuna.
Okay.
it's gonna be Antuna and Chelo, isn't it?
Yeah,
It would have to be. I mean, Osiel's
more
out,
sense.
Linus is out. Cello,
They-
maybe.
the interesting part is right here. We know Nico Ibanez is starting. Who's playing behind him? Do we see Brunetta and Cordova switch on
No, it's
halves?
gonna be Brunetta only.
Okay. Why do you think that?
I guess.
Same reasons we've already discussed. You know, coach. So here's my thing with Cordova. I feel that also kind of plays against him. He can play in multiple positions, right? So since he can play in multiple positions, he's not like stuck to one position. Whereas like Brunetta, we know he just plays behind the striker. He just plays that number 10 spot. That's his only spot. He doesn't play good on the wings. He doesn't play good, further back or further up. That's just his only spot. So it's his only spot. They try to respect it for him. But Cordova, since he can play multiple positions, well, let's put Brunetta in there because he's the only place he can play, and then we'll be able to put Cordova in somewhere else.
Good point. Any counters to who starts at that attacking, Dennis?
Nope.
Okay. There's your lineup, ladies and gentlemen. We just predicted the starting lineup for the Cruz Azul, the
Heard it here first.
the Cementero Clásico at the Cotton Bowl.
Classical.
At the
This is
cup.
crazy. That's so great.
Again, odd scheduling. You play him last in the season, and then you play him in a friendly a week later.
Predictions.
Honestly, I'm going with a 2-1 victory. I think we actually look better because we're probably going to play a lot of their subs.
Yeah, I think they're going to be short at least 4 players.
Yeah, they got a bunch of national team players,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They were bragging about that. I saw. It's like
Probably celebrating about that as hard as they did after they equalized on Saturday.
Anybody that-
Mío.
anybody that brags that their team is providing the most players to the national team or excited that they're going to the national team is awful. I don't care how you spin it to me. The national team is not good at all, no matter who goes.
Especially in a non-World Cup year.
So, make sure I get a lot of videos though. I would like to see the vibes around the stadium. I'm sure they're gonna have a fan fest. Somebody's gonna go, most likely La Palma Rivas or Claudio Nunez. I wish they would bring more guys on board for that. You know, I know we've seen Hugo Ayala now, Torres Nilo, Diablo Nunez, La Palma
Maybe they can bring
Rivas.
Dallas native Gringo Torres.
Bring him back for a day. I would love to see Damian more involved.
Oh, please, yeah.
Dude, I don't think they can pay him to be around that much. I think he's a higher ticket price.
He's
for
a hot
his time.
commodity, as he should be, honestly.
You know, let's call it. I don't know. None of this information that I'm saying is true, guys. Just to make sure that none of this is taken serious. But I feel like if you pay Diablo Nunez and all these guys that I mentioned, Hugo Ayala works for the club already, so he's on salary. Jorge Torres Nilo is on some sort of salary, on that role. But a guy like Diablo Nunez, you pay him, $5K to make his appearance. A guy like Damian is going to be like $15K for his time. You don't want to pay somebody $15K just to come out and take some pictures.
Yeah.
Pesos or dollars?
Oh, bro, we're in America.
Dollars. These are soccer players, man. Come on.
Most of their contracts are already in dollars.
Right, exactly. But it would be nice to see, especially when they're having these friendly games. I think that it would be nice to work in some more, especially guys that like us, and even then, like there's so many people that go to these games and repeated matches that it'd be nice to have a bigger rotation or a bigger pool of players who are attending these fan fests. So I'm sure there'll be something along the lines of that. Edgar, has there been any like promos, like whether they're gonna have like a group? The Clásico Regio, they had Los Rojos, I think, in the pre-match fan fest, and then they had Caballo Dorado for the halftime. Maybe it was just because it was the Clásico Regio. But has there been any promos like outside of like social media for it?
So very recently at my local Michoacana Carniceria, they started to sell tickets there because they're just really not promoting it anywhere. So
the old school way. I remember that's what they did back in the day.
Yeah, they're doing that the old school way. And I saw the Libres y Locos Dallas posted there's going to be a group for an after party at El Botanero, which is the bar that they hang out at for the games.
Nice.
But other than that, I've seen nothing.
Have you been there for a game or no?
No, I went when they were at a different bar. I don't remember what it was called, but I've not been to this one.
I need to go one time just to say that I did and like see what the vibe is, because I have no idea what that atmosphere is like.
Dude, if I wasn't so busy, I would take a trip up there and hang out, because I definitely want to meet more Tigres fans. I need more people for the pod to interview.
This is true.
Okay. Any other predictions, fellas?
Maybe maybe David Ayala will play if he's not hurt.
Dude, if he gets playing time with Fierro, I'm definitely gonna be upset.
Yeah, he's been available for I think about a month and a half now.
What about Ordóñez? Anybody?
He might get the playing time if Osvaldo Rodriguez is having a bad game or just rotation. I don't mind that. Who else we need to see that hasn't gotten playing time?
That's like it. That's like basically our roster. Unless we want to see the resurrection of Felipao.
Nah, pass. Tapia needs to get those full 90 minutes.
I agree.
I appreciate what he did, but
Did we?
I mean, he held it down. He wasn't great, but he wasn't like bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, and he gave us more than what Arturo Delgado could have given us, who apparently had a really good game last jornada.
Or Ortega. So.
Or Ortega. I mean, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a name I haven't heard.
You're talking about a Becca. That's definitely the guy that heard of the Becca.
That's great.
All right.
Well, I just hope nobody that like meaningful actually like gets hurt. I mean, not that a ton of them are gonna play, but like even if like Marcelo, like if he picks up a random knock, like that's gonna annoy me because we could use him in spurt.
He's 20 years old. He'll be all right.
Hey man, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. I hope not, but we'll see. I think we'll win though. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
I think
we're, but I think we'll win.
I think the play will be sporadic, so there'll be lots of chances, and I think we put some in.
Yeah.
All right, move us on, Edgar.
Alrighty, so that wraps up all that we've got for the Varonil. Up next, Amazonas on Fire, Tigres Femenil versus Pumas recap. While the first leg was quite a snooze fest, last night our Amazonas delivered an intense festival of goals and defeated Pumas Femenil 7-1 in the most passionate stadium in all of Mexico. The goal scorers for the evening were Reyes with a hat trick, Ovalle, Thembi, Mayor, and Montoya. Can this team reach the final once again?
The answer is yes if Demby learns how to finish plays.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
We've talked about it over the last few weeks. She's so good at creating the space, and even during the broadcast, Pello Maldonado and what's her name? Imperial. What's her first name? Cindy.
Yeah.
Talked about it quite a bit. She creates so much space and chances, but her finishing is horrible. She could lead the league in scoring if she was a better finisher, I think.
Yeah, for me, she definitely has the potential to be top 2 of our best foreign players ever. The only reason she's not is because she's not a good finisher. I mean, Fischl had that down, and Kanu had that down perfectly.
I miss those players. Those are great players.
Those are players that need to come back.
That's the team I miss, man. That high flying team of Uchena, Mia Fischl, Maria Sanchez, Jackie Ovalle. Oof.
That was the team.
So 7 goals, Mari Carmen Reyes. I know you were happy, Edgar, with her performance, but nonetheless, to me, still the best player. That finds a way to always be in the conversation, and she plays defense. Anika Rodriguez. This team would suffer so much if Anika Rodriguez was not on the squad. So I don't know if there's much content to talk about the game in terms of we were the much better team than Pumas. The first game was awful in terms of managing. I think we know that already from Mila's perspective. But this game, it had been a while since we scored that many goals, and it was great that everybody was involved. And I was happy that Montoya got a goal and got some playing time, her first for Tigres Femenil and Liguilla. But nonetheless, I think that there's some positives that happened, but also some things that need to be still corrected as we head into the last part of Liguilla. And to answer again your question, Edgar, I think that we can reach the final, and we have a very tough test once again. But I think that in a 2-match series, I think that I would favor us over America Femenil.
It felt like we weren't fully at our best. It's weird to say about scoring 7 goals, but there was a couple times where we got caught out defensively that, like you mentioned, Anika had to save us from a couple times where she just put in a shift. So hopefully we can clean up some of that. Some moments where there wasn't the right link up offensively here and there. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky, but I mean, confidence-wise, you got to feel good about scoring 7 goals in a playoff game, especially going into what's going to be a significantly harder matchup, and one that I don't think we're ending at home, if I am not mistaken, right?
Oh, yeah, we are.
Oh, we are? Okay.
Absolutely.
So we finished about that. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that will help too. Find a way to grind out a result at not the Azteca or wherever America's playing. I guess
Cruz Azuls.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
And get a win at home and then get to the final. I mean, the aim is always the final, so anything less than that is disappointing and it's not an excuse. So
the positives, I think, have been that she finally came to a decision of bringing Mayor off the bench. And at times, even in game situations, like yesterday, she pulled out Mari Carmen Reyes, which I didn't necessarily agree with, but that meant that Jenny Hermoso played further back alongside Alexia Delgado, which in a game against America cannot do.
Right.
So I think that's cool. Like Mayor going to the bench, coming on now as a sub. I think that can be helpful and gives us a different perspective. Tembi played starting forward yesterday as opposed to Ana Diaz, who got the start in the first leg. I thought that was not the best choice. I think that your best thing to do is throw Tembi out wide with Jackie Ovalle, Ana Diaz, and Jenny Hermoso behind them. I think that's the route to go with Alexia and Mari Carmen, and then adjust in game depending on what the game presents itself from the opponent. But I think that you're right, dude. We got to grind it out and get a favorable result, whether that's a tie or a 1-0 victory, close out the match. And I think that the girls can definitely do that. They know how to, win games and especially be better on the defensive side at times, more so than the offensive side. So I think that they could pull a positive results to come and, close the game out at our house.
Do we know how severe Belen's injury is? Because it looked like it was pretty tough. So, I mean, she had to get taken off on a stretcher. So, do we know?
Mm-mm. No, the sponsorship hasn't gone through yet. We don't know. We probably won't know. Until either tomorrow or game day.
When's the first leg?
Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday and Sunday. The 15th is Thursday, right? Or is that the 14th?
It's on the 14th. Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday and Sunday, and the Rayadas plays Pachuca Friday and Monday.
Quick turnaround.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
It's a quick turnaround.
Any other thoughts, guys? Edgar, Alfred, on the match from yesterday, and then moving into the semis against America Femenil.
Man, I was unlucky yesterday. Y'all see Mag's tweet video of Peter Griffin in the stand?
Yeah.
That was literally me yesterday. I tuned in on the 15th minute, so 2 goals had gone by already. I tuned out at minute 40 because I had to get ready to go to work. When I tuned back in, they were 3 up already. And I didn't see any goal live except the last one, except the Montoya goals. It was crazy. But I mean, I'm glad, we got the result. Like y'all said, I mean, y'all pretty much talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. Mayor being out, Mari Carmen's importance, Anika's importance. So yeah, it's just going to be a matter of sticking it out. If we recall, they didn't play bad against America in the regular season. We lost 1-0. It was a late goal.
Set piece.
But yeah, but we played a decent game. I actually thought it was like one of our best games.
Agreed.
Of the season was against that America team. So if we can play like that, get a nice tight draw in El DF, and then come back and get a win, I can see us getting a championship.
I still believe that we have the better team. I just believe that they have the better upside of offensive punch.
They have the better coach too.
Well, yeah, that too. Sorry, I need to start probably off with that as well. Better coach, but I think that their players offensively have a bigger upside. Like, what you're going to get out of like our offensive players, and with our coaching staff not helping much in terms of like managing in game. I think that that's where they have us beat, as opposed to their offensive players. They're a little bit more spontaneous. They go on like these, quick spurts throughout the matches that they just go on great, offensive buildups with Sarah Lubert and, not Sandra Paños, Irene Guerrero in the middle of the field, just holding it down. Nancy Antonio obviously doing great, but I still believe player per player, 1 through 11, I still think that we have the better team. And it's not very far. I think it's like by, if you had to do a comparison, I think we have
a small margin.
Yeah, it's a very small margin, but I still think we have the better team. It's just a matter of, being connected. And I think, again, going back to, the men's side where, in Liguilla, we're going to have to rely on the players. I think this is also the case here on the women's side. The players have to be connected. They have to, be there for each other, support each other on the field. And pull it out, because I think that they can do it, and more than capable for sure.
Do we think this is the toughest possible matchup we have left?
Yeah, I mean, if we beat America, like I said, I think we have a good chance of being champions.
The thing though is that those Rayadas games always get complicated.
Yeah, that's what I was
And,
gonna say.
and even though America might be the tougher team and probably the team to beat, especially with the resurgence that they had within their last 10 matches, I feel those Rayada games are always complicated.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time we also beat the snot out of them the last time we played them though in Champions Cup. So
Fair
We
point.
did. But I know we're capable of it, but then you look at the League Clasico and how that turned out.
yeah, early season though, but yeah.
We'll see. I think that, again, chances are high. And I think that it starts with the first match against this America semis dictates the pace. I think if they pull a good match, bring a positive result, whether that's a 0-0 or a 1-0 victory, I think we're in good standing. Everybody agreed? We're moving on to the final, or anybody has reservations?
I think we're all good.
I think the players will get us there. Definitely won't be Mila.
No.
100. So we got our last part of the segment. Edgar, do you want to do from the vault, or do you guys want to do the quick season awards for the men's side? Thought I forgot, Dennis.
I think we can wrap up with the season. Our from the vault moments. Oh, we got one good one. We can share that one.
Okay, go for it.
Really good.
Do it.
All right, so Alfred's from the vault moment, November 10th, 2018. Tigres 6-1 Puebla, poker by Guignac.
Dude. 4 goals in a game.
That was the one game where I'm not sure if it was his 4th goal or his 3rd goal. I think it was his 4th goal where it was by accident. Like it bounced off of like a player's leg and it just kind of, went above the goalie's head and then went in. And he wasn't expecting it. He was just like,
it was like a shot outside the Media Luna, right? Like where he just kicked it and the ball flipped up and then yeah. Dang, nice. Good vault, good from the vault moment. What else you got for us, Edgar?
All right, so also real quick, happy birthday shout out to Hector Mancilla, who is now the assistant coach at Atletico Morelia.
Shout out 2011.
Yes.
What else you got?
And we've also got, given the Amazonas' very high game yesterday, throwback from August 19, 2017, Tigres Femenil 9-0 León.
What the heck?
Yep.
9?
That might be our highest femenil record. We had 2 goals from Caro Jaramillo, 3 from Blanca Solís, 2 from Katy Martinez, and 2 from Nancy Antonio.
Wow.
Was that back when they had like the black uniform, the black with white uniform, like the first ones?
It could be.
Yeah.
They were purple at some point too, right? Before that, or like
yeah, they had
time?
those, like the purple and the black.
Yeah, that was interesting. But dang, Carolina Jaramillo now at Chivas. Blanca Solís, I don't even know what happened to her. Katy Martinez, chilling, collecting paychecks at Rayadas, and Nancy Antonio resurging to be one of the best defensive mids in the league. Interesting. 9-0. Wow. Didn't we have this season a game where we scored 7-0 on somebody? And it was like 5 or 6 at the half?
Mazatlan, maybe?
Or Puebla?
No, wasn't it the one team from the Conca Champions?
Oh, we did score some goals on them too. But I thought it was Liga MX.
Fraziers?
The Fraziers?
Yeah, the Fraziers, wasn't it?
We beat him like 8-1 or something, right?
Oh, wow. Oh, Blanca Solís, Edgar, H-Town Edgar. Thank you for always providing information for us.
Yeah, so Fraziers, we beat them 7-1.
7.
And yeah, I think, let me see here.
Puebla, I feel like Puebla was the match. It wasn't Puebla? I feel like we got another 7 goals in. Obviously, this feminine against Pumas.
It was 6-0 against Necaxa.
9-0. Wow. I'm still stuck on the 9 goals. That's incredible. Okay. Edgar, I don't even know if I said we would do this or the season-ending awards, but I feel like we've gone through them, so let's just finish them off, and then we'll go to the season-ending awards.
All right, yeah, it sounds good. So that also inspired this other From the Vault moment. Certified legend moment. Ovalle scored the 800 goal in Amazonas history last night against Pumas, and Montoya scored the 150th Liguilla goal.
Bro. Dude, 800 goals?
And we are the first team to reach both of those amounts.
Dude, they literally have everything to dominate for a long time. They just
we have the records for almost everything.
We just got to find the right coach. We got the cash to buy the right players. We got need the right coach. Need to spend on the right coach.
To put in perspective, too, the league's not even a decade old yet.
Yeah. Continue to separate yourself from everybody. That way, if you go through which I don't think they'll go through a very big, span that they don't do well. But if you want to, take off a couple seasons and you want to chill, you're still up by like 4 or 5 titles.
Yeah.
That's what, America, Chivas, and all these old heads have done since the league has been founded. We're just playing catch up. All right. Is that all of them from the Vault moments? Man, I didn't come across any of them.
I got one more. Gorriarán hit the 100 official match milestone.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Time at Nando Gorriarán, rate 1 through 10, his time at Tigres.
8.5.
Solid. Alfred?
I want to say he's gone from a 6 to a 9. Like he's
dang.
It's gone better, like progressively each season. Like this season to me was just impressive.
Dennis?
8.
Yeah, I think I right around the 8. 7.5, just because I need more production and goals and assists. Now that I recall, though, we did have some matches that I came across some videos of Cookie Silvera and Walter Gaitán scoring against Cruz Azul. God, I missed it. That might be like, obviously, I'm happy with all the championships we won, but that might be my favorite era of Tigres in terms of like play style. Walter, Ireneo, Cookie Silvera. Oof. Momo Peralta. Antonio Sancho goading in the midfield.
Eduardo Regis.
Before he forgot how to be part of a club and take like the last decade chilling at the sporting director role. God, I miss those teams. Mario Ruiz, Saavedra going up the right flank. Oof. Campagnolo. Okay, that's enough from the Vault reflections. Last part of the pod, guys. Obviously, the season ended, season finale. Tigres tied against Cruz Azul. We head into a big stretch of 3 weeks off from returning back into action for Liguilla. We'll probably see in 2 weeks also the play-in, so we'll have a better idea how the Liguilla actually turns out. But we wanted to commemorate the ending of the season with some awards to, just recap a little bit of the season of what Tigres achieved this season with Paunovic at the helm. So let's start off with your top players. I saw that kind of going around on Twitter. Top 3 players. Who wants to go first?
So I'll go ahead and share mine. For me, it was number 1, Nando Gorriarán. I think this has been his best season with Tigres. He was definitely the MVP. Aquino had a very, very solid season. And I think Ociel as well. For me, he was most improved, but I'd put him in my top 3.
Okay, I like that. Dennis, what do you think?
Gorri, Aquino, and Pizarro.
Okay, I like
Old
that
Faithful.
as well. Alfred?
Mine are Gorriarán, Joaquín, and Angulo.
Yeah, I think I saw that you mentioned that he was consistent. Dude, I feel like the pool is we're all in the same pool area. For me, it was Nando. Second, it was Pizarro, and then Joaquin. Only reason why I placed Pizarro over Joaquin is because I felt like because Pizarro's age and he got moved around to the center defensive mid, still held it down, vocal leader. I put him just a little bit of a nod up over Joaquin, but Joaquin was also excellent. Honorable mention. I'm with Edgar Aquino. I think Aquino, he has mistakes here and there, just like anybody else did. But I think that the topic of national media members that I came across throughout the entire season was like, why is this man not being the challenger for the right back spot at the national team at the age of 35? And that says a whole lot. And I think that he had this season probably, the most compliments from not only the fan base as far as his play on the field. And like I said, also had mistakes. I think the team overall had some mistakes, but I think he gets my honorable mention there. But I think similar pool of players.
You're doing something right when TUDN is giving you compliments. And that's what they were doing on Saturday with Aquino.
Dude, I can't believe you just mentioned them. I just remember what I had in my head. I wanted to go on a rant off about this, guys. How many effing commercials do I need in order to watch the damn game?
Dude, that was miserable. Miserable.
It felt like it.
Ball.
Dude, it was horrible. Like, I don't recall a game like that. Dang, Dennis, you brought it up at the last part. I wanted to go off on this. I was like, man, I am so glad we left that stupid network and we don't get.
I think Televisa's suffering, with all their, they fired a lot of people. Like they closed off their office in Miami or whatever. They just recently, fired their longtime CEO or whatever. They're going through it, so they need a lot of money coming from those advertisements.
Yeah, I thought they also shut down Miami because they allegedly took money from like matches to arrange matches.
Yeah, it's all part of that.
Yeah.
For Messi? Maybe
anything. I think Messi, FIFA, World Cup. I think that there was some involvement there, but allegedly, who knows? Disappointment for this season. You can go as far as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. What do you guys think? Who wants to lead it off?
Let's keep it at 1. I want to hear who's your biggest.
No manches, bro.
Keep it at 1.
Okay, no manches. All right, go, Dennis.
I would say there's an obvious choice, but there really isn't. Antuna, bro. Like, we paid a crap ton of money for this guy to literally do nothing. Zero. Yeah, really, really disappointed in him.
Edgar?
For me, it's Antuna at number 1. I mean, exactly what Dennis said. He nailed it. But honorable mention, Samir. How do you stay at a club and not fight for a position in the starting 11?
Honorable mention. I love that. Alfred? I already know your answer, Alfred.
No, I would want to say Antuna, but how can someone disappoint you? I mean, they can only disappoint you if you had expectations. I did not have any expectations. He actually proved me right, at least this season.
Good point.
So he's not a disappointment to me. To me, disappointment, Chicha Sanchez. I think we hyped him from last season's one-off performance, and maybe from his El Tri goal that he had as well. But based on his last few games that we saw from him, huge disappointment.
That's a good point.
I throw Osby in there as well because I mean the league games that he played, he just wasn't good, and just didn't really challenge Angulo in any real significant way. So
yeah,
And
Yeah.
Felipao for how bad he was the first 3 games of the season, especially that Atlas game. I still can't get over how horrific he was in that game.
That changes my outlook on the disappointment category, Alfred. That's a good point. See, I had tuna sandwich as the number 1 disappointment, and then after that, I had Linus and then Brunetta. But my expectations of their guys are not high. My expectations are high of Brunetta, and I know he finished off the season well, but you're at a much talented team than you were at Santos. You know, were given the role of you are the guy to lead us in this new generational change to be the best player. And I felt like inconsistencies, and I know that the coaching also has a say in it, but I think he got the right amount of minutes to prove everybody wrong. And I think that for a good lapse, like you talked about earlier, 2 months of the season, he just sort of took off. Like, you know, he just wasn't very involved in the buildup. If something didn't go his way, like you were able to tell based on his mannerisms on the field, his reactions, and wasn't very connected with the club or the team overall on the field. So if that was more of the outlook, I would probably say him, but I still probably consider Antuna the biggest disappointment just because you went from the national team, you know, starter over the last 4 years to nothing on the bench. And I don't even know the decision making. We didn't even talk about him getting the minutes in the Cruz Azul match. Like, why all of a sudden he got the minutes when he had been playing? That was also weird. But yeah, that's probably
not relevant in any conversation over the last few weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Best goal.
Hold on.
Oh,
Look at what Edgar said.
Lou,
Dude.
don't look at this. Cover
dude,
your
Are you sneaking in other people's accounts?
H-Town Edgar has fully embraced the hate for Nico Ibanez. I've noticed he just like any chance he gets, he rips him apart. That's great. Okay, I can see the argument for Tanque Ibanez, but did he get a fair chance? Would we say that Nico Ibanez got a fair chance this season to show significant play?
I mean, we saw several games where there was like a double 9, but that's more on Pauno.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird because he did get some, but also like I feel like Paunovic rarely put him in good positions ever to be impactful.
Right.
And the wingers were just
No, no,
awful
no.
all season.
I'm going to knock on Lou and just say based on his expectation of what Nico's season was going to be, then yes, he's a disappointment.
Okay. Best goal.
Oh,
We'll start-
the Goriaran goal against
Yeah.
Pumas. That's the answer. Next category. That like what are we talking about?
Yeah, that was my number 1. I
Yeah.
honorable mention to APG against Puebla.
Yes.
Yeah. That was another.
So, you know, Nando Guerrero definitely is the best
Yeah,
goal of the
absolutely.
season. But my honorable mention has to be the first goal of Guignac, or the only goal of Guignac against Toluca, just because of the BCG buildup, like the BCG connection.
You know, I feel like we should have had more options there. We clearly Nando's was the best, but there should have
Still
been
had two really good goals.
Which one?
Really good goals.
I can't recall. I tried even going back to watch some highlights, but it was just taking too long, and I gave up. And I was like,
The
I know-
Brunetta goal against Miami, that's an honorable mention that we should throw out because of how that play
Yeah.
developed.
Not part
Okay.
of the Liga MX, yeah.
okay, for sure. But they can't recall any other goal that, that's what I said, Edgar. APG free kick. I don't recall any other goal where it's like, ooh, that was nasty.
His goal with L3 was like the one that I remembered, but that's
Did Marcelo have any like spectacular one?
He just had the goal against America.
And he scored
Yeah, that
another
was a
one,
cool
no?
play
He scored 2 this season, no? ¿Cuál era el otro? I thought he
against
scored
Cholos the other day.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
and I didn't really like those goals very much either.
the one he did last season, was it against Chivas? Whole lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last season he scored like 4.
Yeah, we just didn't have a lot of like goals that stood out, I think.
I would
No,
put Marcelo
not a
back
game,
in the
only winning by 1
disappointment.
goal.
in the disappointment category. I would put Marcelo back in the conversation too.
Yeah, I could see the argument there because he wasn't obviously as impactful as last season. Think about what was the game that we lost 2-0 the other day? Querétaro? No,
Mazatlan.
or no, it was Mazatlan. Yeah, where he gives away literally the ball for them to score.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's like disappointing, but also like Paunovic didn't give him enough minutes, so kind of a weird situation.
Yeah, I'm with that. I wouldn't. Most improved. I love it. I love that there's no answer. You know what my answer is?
Gorriarán.
No one, sadly. I don't think anybody got better. I can't really agree with giving that to Nando because I have those high expectations. Nando Gorriarán was a top 3 player in the league when we signed him. I think he has talent to be like a star, not maybe a superstar because he doesn't have the production to maybe be that superstar. But I can't go all across the board and say like a player got better. Like for our season.
I'll give you one more. Angulo. Last season, and at the end of the season, we were talking about we needed a left back to come and take Angulo's spot because he had some horrible performances last season. But with Osvi Rodriguez coming in, he kind of felt, the fire in his feet, or he felt like he had somebody behind him, and he gave us a hell of a season.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, if anything, we should give most improved to most, if not the whole entire defensive unit, because going into the off season in the summer, that was our biggest concern. We were like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And you look at Guido's had a really strong season. Joaquim has been tremendous since he got here. Angulo, you just talked about it. Aquino's been really good, and Reyes has been very solid. So I think collectively as a unit, you can't ignore that, and that should be just who we should give the award to.
For sure. I'll side with that. Any other category? There's one that I can think of, but I feel like we may have different answers. But I think that we probably would agree on 2 players or two people. Best signing.
Profe Ortega.
Yeah.
There it is, the 2 answers.
Joaquin and Profe Ortega. Excellent pickups by the club. Any other category that we want to shout out?
Most expensive signing, Antuna.
Best save?
Do we have a best save?
I don't know if we have best saves, dude. Now it had.
He had a good one against Toluca.
He did. He had a pretty good game against Toluca.
Yo, Tapia had some crazy ones against Santos. If y'all remember that game.
Mm-hmm.
Some wild ones.
Oh, that Gignac header was also nice in that goal. I mean, for not honorable mention, but it was a nice goal. Trigar's across, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's right. Dude, that game was so nice. Can we just play Santos every week? Maybe we wouldn't gripe as much as we have. We just play Santos every week.
Santos and Pumas just back to back.
Best goal celebration.
We would kill it. We would kill it for sure. Best goal celebration.
Did Marcelo do a backflip this season?
Surely he did. The Vigon one after he scored against Miami was pretty funny.
Oh, that one was.
Oh yeah, he always has funny ones. I would throw him in the disappointment category too, bro.
Yeah, dude, he's been horrible since the Miami game.
I don't think he had He was just another player on the squad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if I had to, I would throw him in with Pisuto and those other guys.
You know who also was a big disappointment because we didn't get no content from him? Eduardo Tercero.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. No memes.
No memes.
Maybe we'll get some on Saturday. I bet you he plays some.
Edward III, we need you so we can make some memes.
Con la pizza de pizza.
I think that wraps it up, fellas. It was a good pod. I think ending on a high note makes everything easy as far as discussing the club and whatnot, but lots of still variables to take care of as we progress into the last. I think the 3 weeks off could benefits us so much. I know some people might think the opposite because of the momentum, but I think that we really got to work that BCG up top. We got to figure out who's going to start, and obviously study San Luis and how we're going to counter their play by selecting the best 11, get Rafa Carioca healthy, get Andre Pierre Gignac healthy, and, go for that ninth, because I think it's wide open. I know Cruz Azul was the best team. We beat Toluca, but I think that our team still stands a chance against these teams. So we got a shot, and we got to go for it.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Amen.
So, everybody that tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in on tonight's episode. It was a long one for sure. We love doing this like we always talk about, and we're glad that we get you guys to tune in for this amount of time, and obviously, very grateful that you guys pay attention to what we got to say. Top 18, dude, good point.
Yeah.
Top 18, we had the best record. Wild stat. Oh my god! And then
Somehow.
flip the other side of that stat. We had the worst record against the worst teams.
Against the worst teams.
Yep.
So stupid.
So
If you're coming to
right.
Dallas this weekend, let us know.
yeah, definitely let these
Specifically
guys
after
know.
your game.
Find these guys, take pictures with them, and connect with them, and hopefully we can bring you on the pod for a possible interview. Guys, get lots of pictures and showcase the fan base over there in y'all side of the town or side of the state, I should say.
Oh yeah, I've got my gringo friends coming with me.
And
Dude,
root for Antona.
Those guys are faithful, man. Those are faithful Tigres fans.
Yeah, bro. Now we just need to get them down to Monterrey.
Yeah,
They got
for
to.
sure.
Convert them.
All right, everybody. Peace out. Thanks for listening.